Christmas time, and nothing screams Christmas like gathering around the table with all of your family members for some discussion, a lovely meal, and a big old fight. Usually involving your grandparents, and how you can't say that kind of thing anymore. It's 2016, gran, you can't call somebody a or a or a So gather round, get your mouth guards in and put your boxing gloves on, because here are my top 5 movie fight scenes. Starting the list off is Bourne vs Dash in the Bourne Ultimatum. The key action scene in the Bourne series, you could easily see this as the Marmite of fight scenes. Some people hate it for its shaky cam and its onslaught of fast cuts, and it's often singled out as the prime example when arguing against shaky cam. But I, for one, really like it and think it's very effective, especially on a technical level. The culmination of a tense game of cat and mouse between Bourne and CIA asset Dash, the audience is already primed for a battle following a fast-paced parkour chase through the streets of Tangier. Bourne jumps straight through a bloody window right into Dash, which is still one of my favourite action shots of all time. What follows is a fight scene even more breakneck than the chase leading up to it. Where most fight scenes use the score to heighten the audience's engagement, in this, the score cuts out and all we're left with is the sounds of blows landing and the characters struggling to stay alive. There's no circling of each other, pouting, or cheesy one-liners. It's just two highly trained killers trying to get the upper hand, and you can sense each character's desperation. Unfortunately, the rapid editing and close-up camera does detract from the actors' genuine physicality, but it only takes one glimpse at the behind-the-scenes footage to know that these actors really aren't hiding behind editing techniques. But even if you're not a fan, you've got to at least enjoy the fact it's as close as you'll get to watching Matt Damon giving a doing to Thierry Henry. And number 4 is Lee vs Han in Enter the Dragon. My original number 4 was going to be the restaurant fight scene in The Protector, an 8-minute long, continuous, unbroken shot of Tony Jaa making his way up several floors dispatching enemy after enemy. It's great and the choreography is excellent, but really the appeal in it is just that it's a show-offy long take, and I think it's actually sacrilege to have any kind of fight on martial arts list that doesn't include Bruce Lee. Probably Bruce Lee's most famous movie, the fight with the villain Han may not be the most violent or hectic in a movie full of formidable martial arts action, but it gave rise to arguably the most iconic image of Bruce Lee, who is arguably the most iconic martial artist to ever live. After a bit of a scrap where Lee gets cut up thanks to Han's Wolverine-like claw hand, but still manages to get the upper hand, no pun intended, Han retreats into a hall of mirrors in an attempt to confuse Lee. But being a martial artist with a mental capacity higher than that of a 5-year-old, Lee smashes the mirrors one by one to reveal Han and returns to a regularly scheduled programming of beating the shit out of the bad guy, eventually impaling him on his own spear. At number 3, the mall fight in Police Story. Jackie Chan is basically the human embodiment of that time Homer Simpson tried to jump Springfield Gorge on a skateboard, and probably the only martial artist that can come close to Bruce Lee in terms of fame and pop culture status. But he wasn't always so synonymous with Hong Kong cinema in the West. After a few unsuccessful attempts at finding fame in American cinema, Jackie Chan returned to Hong Kong to write, direct and star in Police Story. While his big break in the West didn't come for another 10 years with Rumble in the Bronx, Police Story is widely considered to be his best film, and even counts it himself as his best in terms of action. Police Story has since achieved cult status thanks in no small part to the incredible fight set in a shopping mall. As well as probably more broken glass than any other scene that has ever been or ever will be, it has all the makings of a classic Jackie Chan fight that he'd become loved for. Superb choreography, inventive use of props and scenery, and a good balance of comedy and action. The fight lasts for 9 minutes, and in that space of time, Chan manages to dispatch people with glass, bats, an escalator, a clothes rack, a shoe display, and even a motorbike. Jackie Chan fights are excellent because, although they are chaotic, you never lose sense of your surroundings and what's happening within the geography of the scene, an aspect that modern action filmmakers seem to have forgotten about entirely. The mall fight is widely considered to be one of Jackie Chan's all-time best moments, which is just as well as the man more than suffered for his art. The final breathtaking stunt where he jumps from the top floor to a pole and slides down, which was done in one take and without any wires by the way, resulted in enough injuries to end the career of any person with a sense of self-preservation greater than that of a suicide bomber. He got 2nd-degree burns on his hands because they plugged in real light bulbs to a metal pole all day. He broke 2 vertebrae in his spine and even dislocated his pelvis, landing on the last unsmashed pane of glass in the entire building. Although in all fairness, I think the pole did come off worse after suffering a collision with the weight of Jackie Chan's colossal balls. Jackie Chan, king of mental. At number 2 is the hallway fight in Oldboy. Not only one of the best fight scenes, the famous one-take hallway fight in Oldboy is one of the best scenes filmed in general. Park Chan-wook's Oldboy is a lesson in directing, and this is a standout moment in a movie that even has a character eating a live octopus for real. It may only be about 4 minutes long, which in today's world of Alfonso Cuarón and Alejandro Inarritu led epic shots and even entire movies shot in one single take may not seem like much. But in such a relatively short space of time, it takes the audience on an emotional roller coaster and offers a masterclass in cinematography, choreography, direction and blocking all at once. Staged like a side-scroller beat-em-up, the audience instinctively understands the task at hand. Our hero, Oh Dae-soo, needs to make it to the end, preferably in one piece. Immediately, he's set upon by an entire gang of extras that haven't counted on the fact that we're not even halfway through the movie yet. So they are picked apart one by Oh Dae-soo. At least at first, because unlike other movies where we're used to seeing the lead character dispatch enemy after enemy like it's nothing, Oh Dae-soo visibly gets hurt and fast runs out of energy, as do those he's fighting. After a short burst of dominating, he's overpowered and even winds up stabbed in the back. What follows is a tight back and forth between Oh Dae-soo and his opponents as each struggle to stay in the offensive and dominate both their foe and the frame. Eventually, Oh Dae-soo becomes the victor, not so much through leaving everyone broken or dead, but by being the guy who's most physically capable of standing up. And when the audience sees his reaction to the end of the fight, we think he's safe, we think he's out of the woods, but then the camera cuts and we see what he was really smiling at. The Oldboy hallway fight is one of the prime examples of how good choreography coupled with smart filmmaking will always make for a better and more engaging fight scene than those chock full of rapid cuts and visual effects. And number 1, The Raid. Like, the whole movie. The Raid is, without a doubt, one of the most fun and enjoyable times I've ever had watching a movie. When it came out, I'd seen so few movies like it. It was ultra gritty, the action was genuinely thrilling, and the fight scenes were some of, in fact, the best I'd seen. And sure, some would argue The Raid 2 tops the action of The Raid, especially the final fight between Rama and the assassin, which I swear I had to stuff my stomach back into my body after it fell out of my arsehole watching that. But there was almost an expectation for The Raid 2 to be carnage, whereas The Raid 1 was a small Indonesian film that came out of nowhere to be one of my favourite films ever. The action is, no exaggeration, psychotic. Once it starts, it does not stop until the final scene. And sure, it takes a few minutes to get going because we need to set the hero Rama up as someone we want kept alive, and also to explain away why the team of SWAT going in wouldn't just say, right, this, I'm going home. But then it dispenses with all that unnecessary plot nonsense, because talking is for capitalists, and we all know you're just here to watch somebody's head get kicked about like a football. Rama and his team need to make it up 30 floors to get to the big boss man running the building, but once they get discovered, he offers like a free stay or something to whoever can kill the police, which is bad news for our heroes, as it turns out this building is basically a clown car for angry Indonesian martial artists who like the police about as much as they like paying rent. And granted, 90% of them are fist fodder for Rama, but the action and the pacing is relentless, and every time I saw this in the cinema, the audience were in disbelief as to what they were seeing. I massively enjoyed it, and I don't think this will be topped for a long time. So those are my picks for my top 5 movie fight scenes. Do you agree with my choices? Do you think I've missed something out? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching my pick for my top 5 movie fight scenes. If you're still in a fighting mood, you can click the box below to see my review of The Raid 2, which is by far the most popular video on my channel, so I must have done something right. Or you can click right there to see my latest top 5 video, which is my top 5 comedy movies. If you like this video, a thumbs up and a share with a friend would be greatly appreciated. So again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.